the American spirit? And obviously like liberty, right? And we're talking like beer and barbecue, like bikinis and bourbon. Or are we talking like bravery and selflessness? You know, when we're talking about the freedom that I think about, you know, it's a freedom that only exists on a far side of hard work. Crispy's done that, right? You see the testament to his across his whole entire body, right? And then still getting up, broken from a bed, burnt, and still being like, yeah, I'm still here. What else you got? You know, that is the American spirit embodied.
Yeah, so I was born in a small town called Villahermosa, Tabasco, which is south Mexico. I mean, I was born in and grew up there till I was about probably 7 years old. You know, my father was working in the U.S. You know, he's a citizen, and you know, he was sending money back just like every other migrant does. But he got to a point where he was super just tired of you know, sending money and not seeing his family, so he decided to move us to a border town, which is Matamoros, Mexico, which is right next to Brownsville. He came and grabbed us one day and brought brand new clothes, had balloons and presents wrapped, and you know, we were headed to a party. That's all I knew. And I remember my father looking at me and he's like, I need you to remember the word party. And before that, the whole conversation was in Spanish. And all of a sudden, you know, I see my mom starts praying really hard, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, I was kind of thrown off a little bit. Like, why is my mom praying so much? Well, come to find out, we were actually on the U.S. and Mexico border, about to go through customs to come to the U.S. You know, all I know is we pull up to this booth and this gentleman starts talking to my father in English. And, you know, the guy looks at me and he's like, where you guys headed? And, you know, I just said party. And the guy looked at my dad and said, hey, well, you guys have a good time at the party, go ahead. And that's how we got across. I think it runs in the blood or something, but I always felt like I needed to protect others who were being picked on or something wrong was going on and they couldn't help themselves. I've always felt like I was that guy. And I remember walking home one day with my neighbor, and this kid who was just a bully the whole time came up to him and started pushing him. And I ran up to him and I was like, dude, what are you doing? He had a lock in his hand and he swung at me, and I just moved back and clocked him and knocked him out. And then after that, him and I got scared and we ran home. And that was like one of the first times where I look back at it now, where I noticed that I was a protector since then. Those are some of the other ingredients that shaped me up to be a young man when I was just a kid. Just the knit-tight community really like stuck out to me because, you know, back in Mexico, you don't have that. You don't have sports. You know, people are too busy trying to survive. Coming over and seeing all these sports and all these parks and Boys and Girls Club, and it was all free to us, was kind of a culture shock. I was like, wait, what? I can come play here all day if I want to? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, huh. That's what football did for us. You know, it kept me out of trouble because, you know, I always hung around with my friends that we all played football, and, you know, we always try to make each other better. And I remember the first game playing as a defensive end, I sacked the quarterback, and I mean, I hit this kid hard. And I remember hitting this kid and he wouldn't get up, and I just looked over and I was like, yeah, like that's where it clicked. That's where I knew football was my thing. I was a Texas football athlete.
I ain't trying to bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all. And,
you know, we start winning games and we start beating all these other schools that have a bigger budget, have better equipment, or all of a sudden you have the small town kids beating, you Goliath. I wanted to be the best athlete that I could be. So I was always in the gym. I was always watching film. You start looking up at the stands and you start seeing, all those 3 letters on their shirts, and you're like, holy crap, like they're here to watch me. Universities come out and scout, because at the time I was I believe I was ranked in the top 10 in the state as a defensive end. I had plenty of offers, and my plan was to go play college football and be in the NFL and take care of my family.
You better just run for your life.
You are looking at the north building of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan. These are coming to you live now.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes.
I still remember the day, I was in class, and I realized that we were under attack, and then the second plane hit, and right then and there I knew we were going to war. And I was a fresh U.S. citizen, but I was proud of being American. I was gifted that opportunity to become an American, be anything that I wanted to become in this country. I was supposed to go to this university, and I was supposed to play football there and become a collegiate athlete. And I remember sitting in that classroom and realizing that I'm the oldest of 3, and I wanted my brother and my sister to live free in this country and not worry about having some sort of terrorist take that away from them. That made me want to fight a little more. It made me want to go and punch those people in the face that did that to us. So every time I talked about the service and I talked about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to become, I just felt that joy in my heart, and I knew that was what I was destined to do. It was to be a soldier. 2006, we deploy. I was a machine gunner, so any heavy machinery, that was me. I said I've always been the big kid, and so I was tasked to be the machine gunner. And when we got there, it was something out of a movie. You start seeing bullet holes in the houses, and you start seeing places that have been blown up, and holes in the ground from IEDs, and you start hearing gunshots everywhere. You quickly realize what a third world country really is. May 14th of 2007, we were on a patrol, and our vehicle was struck with a 200-pound deep buried IED that hit our vehicle. Our vehicle went up in the air. When it came down, it happened to hit the gas tank, so there was flames everywhere. We were all under fire. Some of the guys jumped out. I stayed in the vehicle just because I knew there was an enemy, and I started shooting back. Once I realized that everybody had been gotten out of the vehicle, that's when it was my time to get out. But when I jumped out of the truck, I broke both my femurs when I hit the ground, and as a result of all that happened, I sustained 75% burns to the body, 3rd and 4th degree burns, and so many mixed emotions. But one of them, I really felt like I had let my team down. There was a lot of survivor's guilt, just because, why am I here when my buddy Campos, has a wife and a kid, and they no longer have a husband or father. And here I was, a single guy that really didn't have much. Like, why couldn't I have been taken and he could have been spared? So, all those things, man, survivor guilt is probably one of the hardest things a lot of guys deal with. And if you don't know how to deal with it, it will consume you and it will get a better hold of you. And that's part of the game.
I mean, if you look at anybody in the world who has more reasons or has an absolute certain reason to not be positive or to have a reason to complain, I mean, it's him. It never gets him down. He's always positive. He's always crushing it. I mean, from the beginning, the guy had odds against him. Coming up here from Mexico, from not even being a citizen here. But what he's always found is a way to come out and make those cards play for his life.
Growing up Hispanic, we're prideful people. We're always taught to, no matter what life throws at you, just keep pushing forward and you keep rolling with the punches. And I was reminded of that every single day by my mom and dad. They're like, hey, listen, you signed up for this and you knew this was part of the job. Toughen up, let's go.
I can't even begin. Like, I wish I could be empathetic and sympathetic and be like, oh, yes, dude, Crispy has had it tough. I don't even know what tough looks like in his world. Waking up in a hospital and being like, there's parts of my body missing. So I wish I could tell you, like, dude, yeah, he's a super tough dude. You know, as a Green Beret and a Ranger and a sniper and as a UFC fighter, like, he's super. I don't even know what that looks like. I've never been in, like, a near echelon of how tough of a human Crispy is.
Sometimes we'll make small stuff into big stuff, and to look at someone almost as a mirror and go, wow, I better not complain about this, and I shouldn't make excuses for where I want to be in life, because he hasn't made one excuse. For the outward-facing veteran community, he's been an inspiration for us, because civilian culture often looks at veterans as victims, and Crispy is the antithesis of the victim mentality. He's the guy that goes out there, lives life to its fullest, does what's considered impossible half the time. And so for me as a veteran, it's very refreshing to see a guy like that just carry our culture and our community so well and represent it amazingly. And what Crispy stands for is that sacrifice, that you push through it. You're willing to give a part of yourself to this country so other people don't have to go through that.
Like I said earlier, you know, your time in service may be done, but your time to your community is not. The mission might have changed, but not the mission statement.
In an era where everyone's fake, where everything is quick, easy, accessible, you have a mostly burnt, cripple amputee that is just giving you truth from a tough perspective. It's quite the contrast, right? That's why it's starting to resonate.
Honestly, like when I became a civilian, I you know, this whole social media stuff, all that wasn't huge. I mean, there was Facebook and you know, made an account, and you know, then I started lifting weights and I started getting into that competitive powerlifting, and then next thing you know, I'm doing collaborations with huge people and the industry, and next thing you know, it's just, it blows up.
When people look at Crispy, when people look why he resonates with so many people, especially right now, is Americans are looking for hope. They're looking for hope, and Crispy is a beacon of hope.
Hey man, congratulations. I just heard that you got a copy of my magazine, and I get so many messages from people from all over the world of what they've changed in their lives, how they've pushed forward, how I've helped them, how I've inspired them, and it's just such an amazing thing to read, man, because like, I want to help change lives, and I want to be that person. And when you get a message like that, it's just a justification that I'm doing something right, and I'm going to continue to do it and continue to help others.
Was there any moment where you had any regret, or that you would change anything about your making decisions that
I wouldn't change anything. Everything that I've dealt with and been through till today has shaped me up who I am. I think what we go through life is what shapes us up to be who we are today. It creates who we are. We're all different in a way, and we all look at one another to be better people, and I wouldn't change a damn thing.